Stop. This is not a video. This is a moment that found you. If you leave now, you will never know what was meant for you. You felt it before you understood it. That sudden tightening in your chest, the strange stillness behind your eyes, the feeling that time itself leaned in just to reach you. 1,000 thoughts were racing a second ago, pulling you in every direction. And now you are here, suspended between who you were and who you are about to become. Something invisible didn't stop you. It selected you. You were standing at a door you almost walked past, and what waits on the other side is the reason you're here. You were moving fast, weren't you? Scrolling, planning, surviving, filling every empty space with sound and motion. The world has trained you to believe that stillness is dangerous, that if you stop you will fall behind, be forgotten, or lose your place. So you keep going, even when your heart feels heavy, even when your mind feels crowded, even when your spirit whispers that it is tired. You have become skilled at ignoring that whisper. But tonight, the whisper has become a voice, and the voice has become an interruption. At first, you resist it. You tell yourself this is just another message, another distraction, another thing you can return to later. You convince yourself that you do not have time to pause, that your responsibilities are waiting, that your life cannot afford delays. Yet, something deeper within you knows the truth. Later is the place where clarity is postponed, where healing is delayed, where answers quietly fade into the background of busyness. Later is where you tell yourself you will finally listen, and later is where you often forget to. This moment is not asking for your perfection. It is asking for your presence. It is asking you to breathe before you decide, to listen before you move, to soften before you harden again. You may not realize how close you were to passing it by, how easily you could have returned to noise. But you did not. You stayed. And in that small act of staying, something inside you has already shifted. You have been carrying more than you admit. Each day, you wake with a quiet weight in your chest, a sense that you must be strong for everyone else even when you feel unsure inside. You move from one obligation to the next, rarely stopping long enough to feel what is truly happening within you. The world sees you functioning, producing, enduring, but it does not see the private battles, the nights when your body rests, but your thoughts refuse to. It does not see how often you question yourself, replaying moments and wondering if you chose correctly, wondering if you are missing something that everyone else seems to have found. That is why this interruption feels urgent. Not because you are in trouble, not because you have failed, but because you have reached a crossroads you did not choose. Something in your life is shifting. You can sense it even if you cannot name it yet. The ground beneath you feels unfamiliar, like the old rules no longer apply, like the pace you once trusted no longer fits the person you are becoming. You feel caught between what was and what is trying to emerge. You might have thought this restlessness was a weakness, a sign that you were ungrateful or inconsistent. But it is not. It is the echo of a deeper truth calling you toward alignment. It is the part of you that knows you were not created merely to endure, but to live with clarity, peace, and purpose. You have tried to silence that knowing because it does not fit neatly into your schedule, your expectations, or your fears. Yet, it keeps returning, asking to be heard. The world around you is loud, and it thrives on your exhaustion. It keeps you busy so you will not notice when your joy begins to fade. It fills your days with urgency so you will not question whether the direction you are moving in is truly yours. Distraction has become one of the greatest thieves of peace, not because it attacks directly, but because it delays. It convinces you that there will always be time to reflect later, to heal later, to realign later. And before you know it, later has turned into years. But this moment is refusing to be postponed. It is stepping into your path with intention. It is asking you to stop long enough to recognize that something is being offered to you. Something you have been quietly longing for even when you did not have the words to ask. You may feel unprepared to receive it. You may feel too tired, too busy, too uncertain. Yet, what is meant for you does not wait for perfect conditions. It arrives when your heart is open, even if your life is not. Notice how your body responds right now. Your shoulders may still be tense, your breath shallow, your mind restless. But beneath that tension is a deeper calm, like a lake hidden under rippling water. You are not being rushed here. You are being invited. Every word you receive now is meant to return to you later as clarity, as peace, as strength. This is not a warning of loss. It is a call toward life. You have wondered if you waited too long in the past or if you moved too soon. You have questioned whether you misheard, misunderstood, or missed something important. Those thoughts did not come from nowhere. They were signals that something inside you was seeking guidance, seeking reassurance, seeking a sense of direction that does not depend on circumstances. You have been strong for a long time. You have endured seasons that stretched you thin, but strength alone cannot sustain you forever. There are moments when listening becomes survival. This is one of those moments. You are not being judged. You are not being measured against anyone else's timeline. You are not expected to have everything figured out. You are simply being asked to be present with what is stirring inside you. The interruption you feel is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to wake you. There is a difference. Waking does not mean fear. It means awareness. It means noticing where you are so you can choose where you go next. You are safe here. You do not need to perform, impress, or prove anything. You are allowed to exhale. You are allowed to admit that you are tired of carrying questions alone. You are allowed to acknowledge that something in your life feels unfinished, like a sentence waiting for its final word. This pause is part of your answer. This listening is part of your healing. Imagine standing at the edge of a forest just before dawn. The sky is still dark, but the horizon holds a thin line of light. You cannot yet see the path ahead, but you know the sun is coming. This moment is that thin line of light. It does not reveal everything at once, but it promises that clarity is on its way. You do not need to run toward it. You only need to stay. There are doors opening and closing around you, influences pulling at your heart, decisions forming before you are fully aware of them. In moments of exhaustion and noise, it becomes harder to discern what truly aligns with you and what merely demands you. That is why this pause matters. It is creating space for you to hear what has been drowned out. It is giving your spirit room to breathe. You have not fallen behind. You have not been forgotten. You have not missed your moment. You're standing in it right now. What you do next matters more than you realize, not because of pressure, but because of potential. You're closer to clarity than you think. You're closer to peace than you feel. You are closer to the answer you seek than you have allowed yourself to believe. So stay. Let this moment settle into you. Let it become a turning point rather than a passing thought. The interruption that startled you is becoming the invitation that will change you. And this is only the beginning. You have been carrying a question for a long time, even when you could not put it into words. It lives in the quiet spaces between your thoughts, in the pauses between your breaths, in the moments when the world finally slows and you are left alone with yourself. It is the question you ask the ceiling when the lights are off, the one you hide behind your routines, the one you soften with distractions so you do not have to feel how deeply you want the answer. You tell yourself you are fine, that you are moving forward. The clarity will come when it is meant to, but still the question remains. It sounds like this: am I going the right way? You may not say it aloud. You may change its shape so it feels safer. Sometimes it becomes, should I stay or move? Other times it whispers, am I wasting my life? Or, why does this still feel unfinished? The words change, but the ache beneath them is the same. You want to know that your steps matter. You want to know that the path you are walking leads somewhere real. You want to feel certain, not just busy. You have tried to be patient. You have told yourself that uncertainty is normal, that everyone feels lost sometimes, that you just need to push through, and on the surface you look like you are doing just that. You show up, you keep going, you fulfill what is expected of you. But inside, something feels paused, like a song stuck on a single note. The world is moving all around you, yet you feel suspended between who you were and who you are becoming. There are days when confusion feels heavier than hope, when doubt speaks louder than faith. You carry those days quietly, not wanting to burden anyone, not wanting to admit how unsure you feel. You replay conversations, decisions, missed chances, wondering if one wrong step could undo everything. You compare your progress to others, measuring your life against their highlight reels, and you wonder if you are too slow, too late, too uncertain. But your longing for clarity is not a flaw. It is not a sign that you are ungrateful or weak. It is evidence that your spirit is awake. It is the part of you that knows there is more alignment, more peace, more purpose, waiting beyond what you can currently see. You feel this when things are quiet, when the noise fades and your heart finally has room to speak. You feel it when you watch others move forward and ask yourself if you are behind. You feel it when you wonder if this is all there is. You have been asking for direction without knowing how to phrase it. You have been reaching for confirmation without realizing you were reaching. Even when you stopped praying with words, your spirit continued to ask. Even when you felt too tired to hope, your heart still listened for an answer. The silence you perceived was not absence. It was space being created for something deeper than quick reassurance. You may have wondered if repeating the same question meant you lacked faith, if your uncertainty disappointed something greater than yourself. You may have thought that if you were stronger, you would already know what to do. But faith is not the absence of questions. Faith is bringing your questions into the light instead of letting them echo in the dark. And that is what you are doing now, simply by staying. There are things you have not told anyone, not because you are hiding, but because you do not know how to explain them. A restlessness that does not come from dissatisfaction, but from sensing that something is still unfolding. A quiet pull toward a version of yourself you have not yet met. You are not lost. You are listening. Your spirit is responding to a call your mind has not yet learned to interpret. The worries that tell you that you are behind, that you have missed your moment, that others are more certain than you. Those are not voices of truth. They are echoes of fear, filling the space where trust is meant to live. You have not been ignored. Your question has been held, weighed, and answered with care. The answer you seek is not just information. It is alignment. It is timing. It is a peace that settles your heart, not just a plan that fills your calendar. Quick answers might satisfy your mind, but they would not heal your spirit. They could lead you into places you are not ready to stand, expose you to battles you are not prepared to face. What you truly want is not speed, it is assurance. You want to move without regret, to choose without fear, to walk with confidence instead of constant doubt. The longing you feel is not rebellion against contentment. It is an invitation to deeper connection with what truly matters to you. You were not created to be numb. You were created to respond to the quiet wisdom within you, to the sense that your life is meant to feel whole, not hurried. You may feel ashamed for doubting, for questioning, for wanting more. You may think that certainty should come easily, that confidence should be constant. But certainty grows in stillness, not in noise. It forms when you allow yourself to sit with the unknown instead of running from it. The very fact that you are seeking is proof that you are alive to possibility. You are not stuck because you are failing. You are not waiting because you are forgotten. You are in a moment of preparation that feels uncomfortable because it is stretching you beyond what you already know. Stretching reveals fear, but it also creates space. There's space for growth, space for clarity, space for the version of you that is ready to receive what is coming. Your question has reached the deepest part of you, and it is being answered in ways you can feel, even if you cannot yet see them. Stay open. Stay gentle with yourself. Stay willing to listen. The answer is closer than you think. And this time, you will recognize it when it arrives. What if the silence you feared was never emptiness at all? What if every closed door, every unanswered prayer, every moment that felt like you were being left behind was actually a hand placed between you and something that would have harmed you? You called it delay. You called it waiting. You called it confusion. But from a higher view, it was protection wearing the disguise of stillness. There were paths you were ready to take. Doors you wanted opened quickly. Decisions that looked right from where you stood. They promised relief, progress, escape. They felt safe. They felt like the answer. But you could not see what waited beyond them. You could not see the weight they would have added to your life, the wounds they would have left behind, the battles they would have forced you to fight before you were ready. From your perspective, it felt like nothing was happening. From a wider perspective, everything was being rearranged. You believed you were being held back. In truth, you were being shielded. You thought you were being overlooked. In truth, you were being covered. There were moments when you wondered if you misunderstood the guidance you felt, if you heard it wrong, if you waited too long. Those thoughts weighed on you, especially when time kept moving and your situation stayed the same. But if you had moved when you wanted to, you would have stepped into storms that would have drained you deeply. The waiting spared you pain you were never meant to carry. Silence does not always mean distance. Sometimes it means something is being prepared where you cannot yet see. While you were questioning, something was working quietly on your behalf. Strength was being built in you. Discernment was being sharpened. Patience was growing where haste once ruled. You did not feel stronger, but you were becoming stronger. Growth often feels like discomfort before it feels like confidence. The situation you were hoping for was also being shaped. Other variables had to change. Other hearts had to shift. Other obstacles had to be removed. If things had moved sooner, the outcome would not have lasted. It would have demanded more from you than it could give back. Protection sometimes looks like nothing is happening at all. You were not placed on hold. You were not forgotten. Every moment of waiting was accounted for. Every tear, every sigh, every moment of frustration was seen. The same hands that seemed still were holding your future securely. There were pressures aimed at your confidence, at your peace, at your identity. Some came through comparison, some through doubt, some through voices that made you question your worth. Had you stepped forward too soon, those pressures would have intensified. The delay gave you time to heal wounds you did not know were still open. You thought you were losing time. In reality, you were gaining depth. You thought you were falling behind. In reality, you were being rooted. Roots grow in darkness before anything rises into the light. They strengthen silently, anchoring what will soon face the wind. That is what has been happening inside you. While you waited, patterns were being unlearned. Motives were being examined. Desires were being refined. None of it was wasted. All of it was preparation. You are not the same person you were when you first asked your question. Your perspective has widened. Your heart has softened. Your discernment has deepened. The delay did not weaken you, it protected you. It kept you from rushing into something that would have broken you later. Timing matters more than desire. Certainty without readiness leads to fear, not peace. You may have felt exposed during the waiting, like everyone else was moving while you remained still. That comparison hurt. It made you question yourself. But different paths require different timing. Nothing meant to last is rushed into existence. What is being prepared for you requires a depth that cannot be hurried. Protection does not always announce itself. Sometimes it looks like unanswered prayers. Sometimes it looks like closed doors. Sometimes it looks like waiting when you are ready to run. But behind that waiting was intention, steady and deliberate, ensuring that when you move safely. The silence you experienced was full of care, full of preparation, full of unseen alignment. You were being guided through inner changes before outer changes could occur. If everything had happened faster, you might have mistaken motion for meaning. Trust is formed in waiting. Timing is revealed through patience. You have been learning both, even when it felt uncomfortable. You were never being pushed away. You were being pulled closer. You were never being denied. You were being defended. You were never abandoned. You were being prepared. Now you can see the waiting differently. Not as a punishment, but as a shelter. Not as absence, but as presence in disguise. You are standing on steadier ground because of it. You are closer to what you seek than you realize. You have been strong for so long that you forgot what it feels like to be light. You learned how to keep going when rest felt impossible, how to smile when your heart felt uncertain, how to meet expectations even when your spirit was quietly asking for relief. Over time, endurance became your identity. You told yourself this is just how life is, full, demanding, relentless. You stopped questioning the weight you were carrying because you became used to its presence. But there is a difference between being responsible and being burdened. There is a difference between commitment and quiet exhaustion. You were not created to live in constant survival mode, always bracing for what comes next, always preparing for the next demand. Yet, you have been giving your best energy to everything else and offering yourself what is left, if there is anything left at all. You wake already thinking about what must be done. Your mind runs ahead of your body, listing tasks, responsibilities, worries. Even in moments of rest, your thoughts remain busy. You have become very skilled at pushing forward, even when you are empty, and because you can, you do. But just because you can carry something does not mean you were meant to. Endurance without alignment leads to burnout. Strength without stillness leads to numbness. You may not have noticed it at first, but the weight has been changing you. It has been flattening your joy, narrowing your vision, convincing you that tiredness is normal and peace is optional. You started measuring your worth by how much you can handle, how much you can give, how much you can sacrifice. Yet, the part of you that longs for rest has never stopped whispering that there is another way to live. You are not weak for feeling this. You are not failing because you want something different. The heaviness you feel is a signal, not a verdict. It is telling you that something is out of balance, that your inner world is asking to be heard. You have been trying to solve this with more effort, more discipline, more control, but what you need is not more pressure. You need permission to lay something down. You may wonder what would happen if you stopped carrying everything alone. You may fear that if you pause, everything will fall apart. But what if the opposite is true? What if the constant holding is what is draining you, and release is what will restore you? You have been gripping your life tightly, afraid that letting go means losing control. Yet, true peace does not come from control. It comes from trust. You do not need to earn rest. You do not need to prove you deserve it. You were meant to live from a place of connection, not constant effort. The weight you feel is not a test of your strength. It is an invitation to realign with what truly matters. There are burdens you keep carrying because you have not paused long enough to recognize they were never yours to hold. Stillness feels uncomfortable because it reveals what you have been avoiding. It shows you how tired you are, how much you need renewal, how deeply you long for clarity. But discomfort is not danger. It is often the doorway to healing. When you slow down, you give your heart a chance to breathe again. You have been telling yourself that you will rest when things settle, when the season changes, when life becomes quieter. But seasons do not settle on their own. They shape you while you are in them. If you move through them without listening, they will take more from you than they ever needed to. You deserve a life that feels whole, not just busy. This moment is not about taking something from you. It is about giving something back, your sense of peace, your sense of direction, your sense of self. You are allowed to stop surviving and start living. You are allowed to choose alignment over exhaustion. Let the weight fall. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breath slow. You do not have to carry everything anymore. You are closer to the answer than you realize. It is not waiting somewhere far ahead in a perfect future where everything is finally calm and clear. It is forming here, in this moment of listening, in the quiet space you created when you chose to stay instead of rush. The shift you have been longing for does not begin with movement. It begins with awareness. It begins when you allow yourself to see what has been guiding you all along. You thought the interruption was a delay. Now you can feel it was a doorway, a turning point, a gentle redirection toward a life that feels aligned instead of forced. You have been trying to reach peace by doing more, fixing more, proving more. But peace has been waiting for you to soften, to trust, to release what no longer fits the person you are becoming. This is where the real change starts. Not with a dramatic decision, but with a quiet commitment to listen, to choose clarity over noise, to choose presence over pressure, to choose meaning over motion. You do not need to rush into the next chapter, you only need to step forward with intention. What you are seeking is not far away. It has been walking beside you, shaping you through every pause, every closed door, every unanswered question. The same moments you thought were holding you back were preparing you to recognize the path when it appeared. And now it is appearing, not as a command, not as a demand, but as an invitation. You may still feel unsure. That is okay. Courage does not mean the absence of doubt. It means moving gently even when the way ahead is not fully lit. You do not have to see the whole road. You only need to take the next step with trust. The rest will unfold in its time. Imagine standing at the edge of a new morning. The air is cool, the light soft, the world quiet. You do not yet know what the day will bring, but you feel something steady beneath you. That steadiness is what you have been preparing for. It is what the waiting, the questioning, the protecting, and the releasing have been leading you toward. You are not behind. You are right on time. Every part of your journey has shaped you for this moment. Every pause has refined you. Every challenge has strengthened you. Every silence has taught you how to listen. Now you can move forward without fear because you are no longer chasing an answer. You are walking with it. Stay connected to what you felt here. Let it guide your choices, your pace, your direction. When the world grows loud again, remember this stillness. When doubt returns, remember this clarity. When you feel the urge to rush, remember that alignment is more powerful than speed. You are stepping into a life that feels lighter, clearer, more real. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are finally in tune with yourself. This is the beginning of something new, not loud, not rushed, but deeply true. And as you move forward, carry this knowing with you. You were never lost. You were being led.